What's up, everybody? This is Jason David Frank, the Green Ranger, and you are watching Ranger Wrap Up. Isa!
Welcome. It's Saturday. We are the Illuminerdi. This is the Ranger Wrap Up. Thank you guys so much for joining. Like I say, every Saturday, you could be anywhere in the world today, but you are here with us. And
we appreciate it, baby.
And look who we got back with us. The infamous, it's Joe.
Welcome to the Ranger Wrap-Up the way that it is intended to be, but you two guys have been holding it down for the last month and a half while I have been away on my excursions and adventures, from junkets to trips, as many trips as you can take in the COVID era. But we are alive and well. We are here doing this Ranger show for you guys, the Illuminerdi. Now, there is a lot to unpack, and I know that we are alive and well. We are here.
I hate when that happens. Every time I go to like big screens, it mutes you. God.
Oh, it muted me?
Yeah, every time I go to like a what do you call it? Let me see. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, can they still hear me now?
They can hear you now. They're gonna hear you now. Let me figure that out because I want to mess around with expanding screens, you know. But let me mess around with that.
Okay.
All right, keep going.
Well, look, you guys can all hear me now. We are live. We are back, and we're going to be talking about Ranger stuff. So for the next hour or so, sit back, enjoy the show, and let us know where you are streaming us from. Also, we have a super chat feature, which is available. That helps support the show. It helps support the Illuminerdi. And speaking of supporting the Illuminerdi, there is something I did want to get off my chest. Now, I know that for the last month and a half, whether it has been Power Ranger stuff, whether it's been here on the YouTube channel, on Twitter, on social media, the Illuminerdi's come under a lot of fire, especially in Ranger Nation. And the latest has happened here on Reddit, believe it or not. So I don't know how many of you guys are on Reddit.
Let me send that picture. I'm gonna send the little picture and then I'll put it up on the screen. But go ahead, keep talking.
Okay, so a lot of you guys that are here on our watching our show may have no idea of some of the stuff that is going on, but I do know that a lot of Ranger Nation isn't the happiest with us, and that's okay because that is Ranger Nation's opinion. Now, with that being said, when we come on and do these shows, some of you guys, yes, we do report on news, and you can find all that news over on our website at theilluminerdi.com. But when we're doing these shows, we're doing them more to analyze the news that we break, or anybody else breaks for that matter. We want to analyze it, talk about it, and give it to you guys and share our opinions. What we're doing on this show is actually no different than other Power Ranger outlets that you are seeing, whether they be Ranger Liz, No Pink Spandex, Range Command Power Hour, any of these other guys, Deoxy, any of these other guys. They are all giving you news and giving you their opinion of the news. We are no different here at the Illuminerdi. So I know that a lot of you guys think that Jezer and Daniel have a very specific view of fans. It's always doom and gloom. And they're always not necessarily putting our haters down, but in essence, yeah, they're talking trash about the haters. And that's their right. Because as individuals being on this show, they're allowed to do that. And now me speaking from a company standpoint, we know how much heat we have taken from Ranger Nation, and we've heard you guys. We absolutely hear you guys, and we are doing our best to improve everything that we can. We are trying to deliver you guys the best news, because I'll be 100% transparent with everybody watching, is that we are just delivering you guys the news. Yes, granted, a lot of people might think we're making this up. And if you honestly do think we're making this up, then you also must think that we're fortune tellers, because a lot of what we have said, at least news-wise, has come to pass. Now, we're not in the business of trying to make things up to get a reaction out of fans. That's not what we're here to do. We're actually here to give you guys news to get you excited about the brand and to show you where the brand's going. I'll give you a great example of that. Earlier this year, back in July, I believe we reported about the Hasbro toy split. And now I know that the instant reaction to that is all doom and gloom. But granted, Hasbro's never said anything officially up to this point. But as you can see, that we're seeing a change, a shift in Power Rangers, a shift in the franchise. And that shift, for the most part, has been pretty positive. Because now we have an executive producer that's worked on big budget series before, especially with Netflix. We're getting great shows. And the commitment that Hasbro's making to Power Rangers about getting more adult programming and different kinds of programming is exactly what we want. So like I said before, you can shoot the messengers, that's fine. But like, we're just trying to do our best in reporting the news. Now, we also have a lot of detractors that we consider our peers in this community. Now I know, and this is a recent podcast just recently came out and said that they knew we found out the cast reveal through Instagram. And I've addressed this before, and I'll address it again. And I'll even address it a little bit more clear for you guys. But that's not the case. Matter of fact, we didn't go on their Instagram accounts. And here's I'm going to break it all down for you guys.
Go.
We weren't even the first ones to have the news. The first person to actually have this news, and I hope he's okay with me saying this because he's said it on Twitter, is Squall.
Oh, yeah.
From Talking Token. Squall was the first one to have this news, and he had it personally to the point where him and I were messaging about not running the story. And then he gave me the green light and said, you know what, it's getting out there, let's do it. And we did it. If you want to know how Squall got that information, which is being speculated on upon a podcast that came out recently this week that has to do with Power Rangers, in that podcast, they're misinforming you because that's not how it went down. And if you want to know more about how Squall got the news, ask Squall, because it's not my business to tell you how he got that news. With that being said, anything that is Daniel, Jezer, in my opinion, is our opinion. But when it comes to news, we absolutely hear you guys. And another thing about the sourcing. Now, let me just break this down for you real quick. Yes, I know you guys want to know who we're talking to, what those sources are. Those sources are important because they are the ones helping us deliver you guys Power Ranger news. I'll put it to you guys like this. If the source didn't want any of the news that we have out, they wouldn't give us the news. It's that simple. Obviously, somewhere along the way, somebody wanted this news out, whether that be to get your excitement or to gauge your interest. They wanted the news out regardless. And now in terms of not naming those people about news, we're not naming our sources because those people don't want to lose their jobs. And for people to kind of go on a witch hunt and find, let me just speak, for people to go on a witch hunt and kind of find these sources out, that's one thing. But you guys are doing yourself a disservice because, like I said before, Power Rangers, us delivering Power Ranger news is to get people excited about the fan base, not to tear it apart. Another thing I want to bring up is I know that we take a lot of heat from Ranger Nation, and we've only been around for a little bit less than a year. A lot of you guys know us from our previous venture, which is in the past of that hashtag show. We are here now, the Illuminerdi. We've been around a year, and we've made an immediate impact. And for all of you people that are watching right now and all the people that are going to watch us on replay, we know who our army is. I can look at some of these names in this chat right now and know who that army is. I'm talking about Ryan, Metal Ryan Gaming. I'm talking about Larry Newbill. I'm talking about Jared Hodges. I'm talking about Flash. I'm talking about Donnie Pearson. I'm talking about a lot of you guys that are here every single week. Now, in terms of delivering Power Ranger news, this isn't a violin. This isn't us being like, but we're so sorry. Listen, if you felt slighted by us in any way in terms of the news we deliver, that we apologize for. On our personal opinions, those are all individual things. Jezer's not making this apology or reaching out to you guys. Daniel's not doing that. They have their own opinion. So do I. But with that being said, in terms of a company, we are going to do what we can to repair the relationship that we have with Ranger Nation. Am I frozen by chance?
Not on my end.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just on my end. Another thing that I do want to stress to to you guys is that since we did get banned in Reddit, the Illuminerdi as a whole got banned in Reddit, which I find quite interesting for a couple of reasons. Yes, we're going to be talking to them and trying to work something out, but it is what it is right now. You won't find Illuminerdi articles in Reddit, and I find it interesting, especially on this dawn of a new age for Power Rangers. The reason I find it interesting is because I promise you one thing: you're going to start having a lot of Power Ranger news come out that's going to be sourced by us. But since we're going to be sourced as or cited as the one that's delivering the news, we're not even allowed to be on that Reddit forum, which I find interesting. Feel like there's a lot of gatekeepers in this community that are providing you news or want to provide you news, but want to try to keep us down in terms of getting that news to you. Now, with that also being said, I want everybody to know this, and I honestly want everybody to know this from the bottom of my heart. We are going to start doing less Power Ranger articles on our site because it's not worth having to deal with that toxicity. With that being said, we're gonna still deliver our Power Ranger news the best we can. And lastly, I want everybody to know is that Power Rangers is a fraction of what we cover. It's not even the biggest thing that we cover.
Nope, not even.
We can let it go at any time we choose. Not saying we will because we love the franchise personally. But it's not the biggest thing we cover. And once it's not worth it for us anymore, we're not going to do it. It's that simple. Because we don't have to. We're not being held against fires and saying, hey, deliver us your Power Rangers. We're doing this because we love the brand. And we're trying to do this to deliver you the best Power Ranger news you possibly can get. Look, I just want to show you guys small examples of getting fans excited. And the adverse effect, also getting you guys worried. Our job isn't to get you worried. Our job is to excite you fans, but also report on the news as it comes. But Jason returning for Beast Morphers, that got you guys excited. Dr. K returning for Beast Morphers, that also got you guys excited. Dimensions in Danger, knowing what that storyline was and who was coming back, that also got you guys excited. Knowing that the new season was going to be Ryu Soldier. Now I say it, I know I'm butchering the way I say it. Ryu Soldier.
Yeah.
We know that one that we got that one first, and we know, and this isn't to say, hey, we got this right. We're just trying to let you guys know that there's cool things that we can all be excited about as fans. And I don't necessarily know why. A great example is this. A lot of people, not you guys watching, but you guys know Ranger Nation well enough. A lot of Ranger Nation has tried to, I don't even want to say attack because we have thick skin and we can handle it. Believe me. I will say this about Jezer is that he is the one dude you definitely want on your side. Power Rangers doesn't have a Wolverine, but the Illuminerdi does. And that is going to be a guy that is never going to take a loss. He's always going to take a win is because he will attack you from the inside out. But that is his prerogative to do that. But for us, for the rest of us, we all have our own opinions on things. And, you know, we see all this outcry of, you know, who are your sources? This is fake news. I noticed that when other Power Ranger outlets reveal news, whether they be toy news or anything else, on a whim, by the way, nobody's asking for their sources. And I find that interesting. I find it interesting mainly because there is this sense of people that are like gatekeepers that are afraid of other people breaking in. Personally, I like the rise of these other Power Ranger outlets that are coming up. I like working with these other Power Ranger outlets. To tell you the truth, a lot of great friends I have are from this community. I'm talking about Eric Berry, Toku Chris, Heirloom, Ranger Liz. I love all those people. Sean Fowler, Orange Ranger Videos, he's amazing. And countless others like the Ranger Volt and Ryan Buetta and the Morphin Network. And I can go on and list so many different people. But one of the more satisfying things that we've gotten out of this is the interaction with other outlets, helping grow those other outlets, giving those other outlets a spotlight. And we're not saying we're the best. We're not saying we're the best at all. But we are saying this, is that we're just doing our job. And what our job is deliver news, not just Power Ranger news, but news. It just so happens we deliver a lot of Power Ranger news that most times you guys wouldn't even know about had we not delivered it. And that's what gets you guys excited about this. And this is what excites me about it, is giving back to this franchise. I'm going to say this one time and one time only, and then that's going to be the end of it. But we will strive to not only be the best Power Ranger outlet there can be, but we're going to strive to delivering you the best news with the best quality. But also, we're going to do our homework. And I can't stress this enough. I know a lot of people think, I know there's people out there that think we're just making up this Power Ranger news. And I said this before. We take our reporting very seriously. Mainly because, and this is the irony of this, it's not for the Power Ranger community. We take our reporting very seriously for the other genres that we're covering, whether they be Marvel or DC or Disney or whatever it may be, or even wrestling. We take that side of this very seriously because we are doing things outside of Power Rangers. So anybody that wants to question our journalistic integrity, I think they need to check themselves, because if you look at the majority of the people that are here, we've already done journalism at very high levels. I urge you and encourage you to follow each and every one of our writers, people here on this YouTube channel, even our affiliates, to show you that level of commitment we have to our fan base and what we're doing. But I just wanted to clear that and get that into the air, because I feel like there's a lot of vilifying of the Illuminerdi, especially in the Ranger community, and that's fine. If you guys want to vilify us, that's fine. But just let me tell you, we're going to do what we can to be the best Ranger show we possibly can, but people are going to have different views, and that's something that people are just going to have to accept. But in terms of news, their views aren't skewing the news, so don't confuse the two, is all I'm saying. But that's what I wanted to say, get off my chest. Now, I just rambled on for about 20 minutes. You guys can say whatever you want.
Dan, you want to say a few words?
I mean, no, pretty much it's short and sweet. It's exactly the way I feel. Gatekeepers, situations like that, not taking the time to really review what's been given out before and what we are giving out now. It's just an issue in that way. And that's something that I think they really need to focus on before doing any level of action, especially an action as large and also even as egregious as this. It's something that they really should have reviewed. I'm not at a point where I'm like, oh, I hate these people or blah, blah. I'm just like, all right, you know what? There clearly is a mistake made. We'll have that conversation. We'll clear some things up. And I think things will be back to normal, but the normal will be a new normal because of just how we're received and things like that within Ranger Nation itself is kind of just very awkward to me. I don't understand it, because it's like, here we are giving news, giving information, and trying to make sure that we do what we do with every other fandom. I mean, Marvel, DC right now, like anything that's coming out as far as DC news with like Shazam, I mean, or Black Adam is like a big thing, and it's like everyone's getting that news mostly from us, and yet I'm not getting hate from like the DC fandom. People are like, "Oh man, this is great! Did you hear about this?" And they're sharing it. But here with the Ranger Nation, it's weird where it's like, "Oh, here's a spoiler," and they're like, "How dare you? Let someone else give us this news." And it's like, why? And that has to do with the whole situation with gatekeepers. And why is that the case? I know when it comes to journalism, everyone wants to be on top. Everyone wants to be the microphone or the megaphone. But the thing is, if you're not the megaphone, still participate. I mean, you can just still talk about the story and give your opinion and just source whoever said it, that's publicly said it. And that's how it should work. So anything else is just awkward.
When it comes down to it, I feel that like we're definitely going to be. I feel like there's a little bit of a witch hunt on us, and that's fine, because if that's how people want to react, that's completely fine. But we know where our fan base is, and we know how strong of an army you guys are, and we also know that, hey, you guys actually like hearing Power Ranger news. That's what it comes down to. I mean, there are certain fans out there, they're going to get extremely upset about the news that they hear, and their reaction to it. That's a reaction. That has no bearing on what the news is. So in terms of the actual news, which this show isn't to give you guys news, it's for us to analyze news. And we're going to be doing that with our first story, and that's going to be that there's going to be 2 seasons of Dino Fury And that's we're gonna kick this off. Is Jezer, you wanna talk about this a little bit? You've been pretty quiet.
Yeah. So some news came out during an interview with somebody, and the person had worded that they are going to be doing. They worded it by saying, "Oh, the first season of Dino Fury." Now, I mean that could mean a lot of things. It could mean that yes, there will be 2 seasons, or it could also just mean that that there's going to be 2 seasons, which usually they. I personally think that's a mistake. I think 44 episodes of one season and just scheduling it out right with the network like Nickelodeon would be beneficial to them. But just based off the words, there's no confirmation like the fans want. There's no confirmation from Hasbro themselves. So without the confirmation, Ranger Nation's gonna just believe that it is fake news until Hasbro comes out. Takes time out of their day from talking about their big franchises like Transformers and My Little Pony to tell you, oh, this is a tweet. Power Rangers is going to be 2 seasons. It's just a waste of time for them. So, 2 seasons is the norm. The big question that comes out of this, and I'm putting the question out to you guys, is with the contract with Nickelodeon, is the 2 seasons going to be on Nickelodeon, or is it going to be 1 season on Nickelodeon and 1 on whatever platform or channel that E1 wants to transition into? What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the biggest fascinating development there is where does all this go next? And truth is, there's not an answer yet, or at least not an answer that we know of yet. Chances are they're probably going to sort something out with Nickelodeon, but I don't know if Power Rangers is going to stay there long term. That is my opinion. I'm not sure about that. It seems like there's going to be a lot of reshuffling at Hasbro and E1 for that matter to figure out where all this kind of lies. And I think that's okay. I think that I have a feeling that there might be a Netflix deal like in place coming out soon, but who knows? This is definitely going to be one of those scenarios where it's wait and see. Currently, they are shooting Dino Fury right now in New Zealand, so it's going to be fascinating going forward how this all plays out. Also, I think the bigger question is going to be what happens after Dino Fury.
Yeah.
Is this going to be a soft reboot? We know we're getting a lot more Power Ranger content, but in what forms? The show can still exist. The live action show that we're seeing that's meant for, I don't know what the age bracket they said was. It was like 2 to 10 or whatever it was. That show can still exist, but there can also be a show that exists for us more mature fans that could be strictly on Netflix. And there also could be an animated show for an even younger fan base, or hell, even for an older fan base, a la Justice League Unlimited. So there's a ton of things that are very exciting for the franchise. Now, the Boom Studios comics are doing a great job. I'm almost caught up. I think I'm on issue 51 of Mighty Morphin. I just finished Go-Go. I read the Ranger Slayer one-shot, and I just started the Draken New Dawn series. So I'm almost there. But the Draken New Dawn series, it's interesting because you can almost see that very ripe for a new form of medium for Power Rangers to come to live action or even animated. I really think that series has legs. And I know Kyle Higgins was going to do this earlier on with Saban, but it never went anywhere. But who knows, man? It seems like it's ripe for the pickings, right for Hasbro.
Daniel, where do you think they're going to spread these, proposed 2 seasons?
Well, first off, I think it's a good idea. Go for the 2 seasons. Go ahead and stretch, collect more cash, collect more revenue for this franchise itself, and get the name out. Do that time where you have a break in between. So this way, during that break, you can kind of gauge what you've done so far and where you think you should go as far as promotions, marketing, and even with creating or putting out more toys. Getting a schedule properly set for what you're going to do with the Lightning figures and all the other type of lines that they have going on. It gives them time to do that. It's part of essentially research. So I'm down for that. And a 44 episode season I haven't seen on Nickelodeon in quite a while. So I don't think it's something that they'll do with Power Rangers. I think it's good for them to take that time, break it up, and see what happens with it from there. So I'm down for it. And 2 seasons of a show is great.
I personally think that, yeah, 44 episodes in a season was very unrealistic for Nickelodeon, only because they barely push the show now. I think a lot of their focus is on some of the shows that they create at Nickelodeon, and that's what they want to promote, and that's what they want to put precedence over. And so, like, when it comes down to scheduling, like, I don't imagine them like giving Power Rangers the 44 episodes scheme and having them schedule out all of their shows around that. They're very low on Nickelodeon's priority list. So I can definitely see it going 2 seasons of 22 episodes, or maybe 1 season of 22 episodes, and then moving to somewhere else. Like Joe said, Netflix is not a bad way to go. The only thing is, I don't imagine Netflix, dedicating 22 episodes. Like a lot of the TV shows that they have on Netflix is at the most 13 episodes. So I don't know where they'd go with that.
But
I think
go ahead.
No, I think that with Power Rangers, Jezzer, I think that I can look, if the main show that's for that younger demographic stays on Nickelodeon, that's completely fine. I just hope they move a more mature show over to Netflix that could be that 13 or 8 episode like little mini series, and do those, maybe anthology series even. But like, I think that would be a great way to get more exposure to Power Rangers. And it's interesting because we're starting to see this kind of shift culturally in Power Rangers. We saw it early on back in 2017 when the movie came out, about all this interest back into the franchise. And I will beg to say that I haven't seen the brand at that height in a very long time. But now I feel like there's this new resurgence for Power Rangers. Here we are in 2020. But the one thing that we got to keep an eye on is that we still are in the COVID era, and people are still, productions are still getting shut down. There needs to be protocols for this. The easiest way to circumvent all that is by going animated. Is because a lot of working on animation, whether it be the voice actors, whether it be the animators, those creators, they don't have to be in the same room together. They can do it mostly from home.
Yeah.
So it's just an easier way and you got to think too. And Jess, you brought up a great point when you said that the 44 episode seasons, you don't know how Nickelodeon will handle that. Well, first of all, I think that would be split over 2 years. Secondly, if it is 44 episodes, or even just the way that television works nowadays, it's shifting. I remember back when I was a kid, television seasons would start either late August or mid to late September. And it would run through a course of time, and then they would always finish right around May or June. Television's not like that anymore. Shows are coming out all the time. Shows are coming out random days. It's a lot different. So the way that the medium is just a lot different. So Power Rangers doesn't necessarily need to leave Nickelodeon. They just need to expand in other forms of media that other people are consuming.
Yeah. I think now, especially with the trends that we're seeing with just television shows and where they're going, regular, on-air TV or regular cable isn't the right fit for a lot of TV shows. A lot of the best TV shows that we are seeing now are moving to channels like Hulu or Netflix or different streaming services, because streaming is more accessible. So just right now, Dino Fury is still technically like a transition period for Hasbro and E1. I personally think that there's still a transition season, so that after that they're going to be exploring other options for how to release their content. Maybe, this is such a weird idea because I don't see how Hasbro could get money from it. Maybe releasing the episodes on their YouTube channel or something like that. I don't know how they'd figure that out, but if they were to broker a deal with Netflix or some other streaming service, or even, it's not far-fetched to say that E1 may even create their own streaming service. It's going to be flooded with old G.I. Joe episodes, G.I. Joe Sigma, all the Transformer series, all the Transformer movies can move there. Anything under that realm, I think you see a lot of streaming services come up with barely anything. I mean, we last year or 2 years ago we had the DC streaming service, and they still try to put up whatever they had. So I can definitely see E1 and Hasbro like pushing to make their own channel to push their product.
If I could just interject, please no more streaming services. Really, it's like it's getting in one way too expensive, and the other way too burdensome to have to be able to jump from here to there to there to here to see one show. I don't want to subscribe to a service just for one show. And then after that, they're going to try to build more, and it's going to ultimately fail. I mean, we had Quibi that just came out, and now it's already closing in on itself, and they're done with it. And it's because people are getting like this whole streaming fatigue. I just want to be able to go to 3 or 4 kind of like conventional hubs so I can get my stuff. I can't continue going here, there, and everywhere else. And people don't want that, man. And one thing that is good when it does come to going on to a streaming service instead of doing with network, from what I understand, Netflix kind of set this up, but if you are exclusively on a streaming service, that service does add a little bit of money into your pocket for production because you're exclusively on theirs. So that does help as far as a budget, which can make a show even better. That's why Netflix has shows that are only 10 episodes or 8 episodes. It's because, hey, we're funding this and it should be just this and it should be good. Mm-hmm. And that's something that does help because it does raise the bar. So if they do go to Netflix, that's something that I wouldn't be against because I think they would have to raise the bar because they need to get more eyes on it. They're not just going to throw you on their network or their streaming service and say, do what you already did. That works great. No, they want you to do more. They want you to do better. I mean, we're even seeing it with that Karate Kid one. Like now that they're here, now that they're here on Netflix, I mean, the show is great, but they hired a new crew as far as the stunt work and everything to make it even better. And it shows. And that's what we would look forward to when it comes to Power Rangers. So I'm down with it if they go to Netflix or Hulu or something like that.
Do you guys think...
Isn't there already a Paramount network?
Oh.
Yes, there is. And notice they've stopped making new stuff. They've got to where they are, and they haven't made anything new in a while, which is interesting.
That sucks. That sucks. Do you guys think that it would be beneficial to move from a 21, 22 episode to a 13? I mean, do you think that it's possible to condense these stories into a shorter span?
I don't necessarily think that's the right question. I think the real question is what I want to see an hour-long Power Ranger episode, if a weekly Power Ranger episode. Like if honestly, if Dino or if Beast Morphers was an hour long, I don't think I would have been able to get through all of it because just because it's not the kind of storytelling. Like, granted, it's been one of our better seasons in a very long time, but in terms of keeping my my retention, I don't think that watching a kid show would have been that for me. Me personally, I get a little bit more involved in something a little bit more mature. If they would have taken some of these comic stories, or not even these specific comic book stories, but if it was just Power Rangers done with a little bit more mature storytelling, that would keep me engaged for about an hour. That's a little bit different. I mean, look, I always look at Power Rangers like this as an adult now, is that it's always kind of cool to see things from my nostalgia and my childhood flourish with me being an adult. And I get to talk about it and report on it. But I'm doing it in sizable amounts. I'm only watching 20 minutes of Power Rangers when we talk about these episodes for a whole week. Only 20 minutes a week. I mean, and sometimes I'm going back and watching the old stuff. But like the new stuff, I'm doing it 20 minutes a week. I'm consuming more of the comics at a faster rate now because I binge them. And they're so bingeable. I literally just read like 10 issues that I was behind on because I was able to binge it because it's a bit more mature for storytelling. And this is exactly kind of what we need in Power Rangers. I think the real question here is Power Rangers ready to move into different markets? Because in essence, at the end of the day, though, Power Rangers was designed to sell toys. But in an adult market, I feel like that's where your bigger dollars are, because if you can get a cinematic universe really up and going, that's where you make big money. And Disney's seen that like 10 times over. By the way, Morphin Network, thanks for joining us. Blackwing, thanks for joining us. Common Rider 64, Fail Soul Selim, I know I butchered your name, but thank you for joining us. And Josh is in here, so we are all back.
He says Paramount is actually rolling their streaming service into CBS All Access, and it's going to be called Paramount Plus. So I mean, you mentioned a interesting thing, the theory of evolution for Power Rangers. How hard do you think that it will take, or how long do you think it'll take for Power Rangers to evolve to the new medium? I mean, Power Rangers for the past 26 years has been the same format. Do you think that they can evolve and change over to the new how people absorb this new media, and do you think that the fans will be happy about it?
Two things need to fall in place for this to be successful. Two things need to fall in place for this to really be successful. Number one, Hasbro and E1 can't. I don't think they can tiptoe in. It's like a pool. They got to just dive in. They just got to dive in and just make the commitment that yes, we have to expand our franchise. We want to get into making movies. We want to get into more adult storytelling. We want to flourish these comics. We want to continue the show going, but we also want to sell toys. And you think about this too. Think about the collector's market in terms of toys. I mean, if you got high-end Power Ranger toys, we're already paying $20 a pop for toys. You know what I mean? If that, maybe even a little bit more. But if there's even more collectability, and if the franchise or if the brand's able to get Power Rangers over to a larger audience, then the money's going to be there. Now, the second part of this is, will people take a chance on something like Power Rangers, even though it is evolving? Because you got to think of the stigma that's in most people's heads. Now, everybody, all 33 of you guys, people that are watching, probably the three of us included, most people still consider Power Rangers a kid's brand. There's very little people that think of Power Rangers as such a mainstream thing. Most people do absolutely think of it as like, oh yeah, I watched that when I was a kid. Oh, that's still on. Oh, isn't that for kids? How many times have you guys as fans, or even you two doing the show with me, how many times after you tell people, oh yeah, well, we do a Power Ranger show, what's the initial reaction you guys get?
Really? Like sometimes it's hard to even talk about it or say, oh yeah, our channel's main fandom is Power Rangers, and people will be like, kind of give you a look like, oh, okay, I guess I'm not talking to an adult right now, but okay.
Right. It's a stigma that follows it, and we're not saying that everybody in this is like, oh, you just like kid shows. That's not what we're saying at all. But it just kind of happens that way. But I think as a whole, you got to do enough marketing to get people to want to watch Power Rangers, and I think that's the biggest draw, right? This is what Transformers actually did very well. They took their time developing their movie universe, and currently right now, I feel like there's more anticipation for Transformers toys are a whole nother level, but I feel like there's definitely more anticipation for to see where that franchise can further go. Right now, there's going to be a big push coming up very soon for Snake Eyes and G.I. Joe. G.I. Joe, actually, their toys sell out all the time, especially now. I don't know why that is. I'm not studying that market, but I know the toys sell extremely well. And I also know that G.I. Joe, even the comic that Rob Liefeld did with Snake Eyes, that sold out completely. G.I. Joe is going through a new resurgence also, and I think Power Rangers is right behind that. Like I said before, Power Rangers need to get a couple things right, but once that happens, then the rest will fall into place. I think we're a solid 3 to 4 years out from seeing another peak of Power Rangers. We're seeing the genesis of it right now, and I think Dino Charge is really the gateway to it, but it's really everything that happens after Dino Charge. I say Dino Charge, I meant Dino Fury. It's everything that happens after Dino Fury that I'm excited about. Yes, I'm excited about Dino Fury, but it's really what's coming up after that, what they're working on after that I'm excited about. And another thing too is that we have something really cool at the Illuminerdi that we're going to be doing, kind of officially that is about the future of Power Rangers. The two of you know about this, right? About what's going on. If
It
not,
depends
I'll tell
on
you
what
guys
you're talking
after
about.
that. But
Yeah.
we're talking about the new Power Ranger movie that's possibly coming out, or the new Power Ranger movie that's coming out. You guys know about what's going on with that, with that, right?
Our involvement concerning it,
Yeah.
not that
No.
much. No.
Okay, well, I'll tell you guys off there. I've been talking. We figured this out, but it's going to be pretty cool. But that's the kind of stuff I'm really excited about, where this franchise can go. Honestly, something where we completely glazed over, and we should be talking about this this week, but we're going to save it all for next week. I feel like, and talk about it
Next
there.
week?
But yeah. Oh, sorry. There is no show next week.
No.
There is no
There's
show
no-
next week because Jason Font is going to be doing a live in-store appearance at the Comic Bug in Manhattan Beach. We are going to be there supporting. We're going to be doing cool things with Jason Font. So if you're in the Southern California area, come on out to the Comic Bug in Manhattan Beach. Jason Font will be signing. He'll be signing his new book, Reinforce. What's the sins of our past?
Oh yeah, and don't forget to bring your Jason Font action figures to get them signed, the boxes signed.
That's right.
Right. Don't forget to bring your Lightning Collection Red Time Force Rangers. But Jason Font will be with us live in Manhattan Beach at our home base, our headquarters at the Comic Bug. There, I'll be doing a signing. Go check out the Comic Bug's social media accounts on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Same thing with ours. They have all the Jason Font information there. And if you can't make it and want to get a signed copy, go to thecomicbug.com. There's ways that you can do that as well. But we are going to be doing that the week after. I think that we should do a little kind of, unless any major news comes out, but a big breakdown of everything going on in the comics. What do you guys say?
I'm down. I mean, it'll give me time to go ahead and read up and catch up on everything, and be able to just really go for it.
Sounds good.
Some other fun things that we have planned out too is well, let's put it to you like this. There's a lot of cool things that we have planned out in terms of the franchise. And that's why we're saying that, like, we want, like, you think that us putting out all this Power Ranger content is just for clout or just to get the fans riled up. That couldn't be further from the truth, mainly because we know that a lot of our hardcore fan base is you guys. So, you know, we want to do right by you guys. But with that being said, like I said before, everybody has their own personal, individual personalities, and that's okay too, just like you guys do. So, what else do we got, Jezzer? What else is on the docket?
We've kind of already assumed this, but the Power Ranger season is going to start up in February of 2021. What do you guys think about that? I mean, that puts when I think about it, I'm like, oh man, that means we're getting the same airing schedule which they has. It's just a terrible airing schedule that they got.
Well, I mean, look, I know that, and this is a good question for a lot. Hey, by the way, it's a good question for all you guys in the chat. I know that Hasbro's taken over, and I want to know honestly, because I think that maybe for myself, Daniel, and Jezzer, we're really involved with a lot of the news side of Power Rangers, a lot of the other things. I'm curious to see from you guys as fans, do you guys actually feel a difference between Hasbro and Saban? Like, whether it be like release schedule. I know obviously action figures, I'm sure you guys are seeing a big difference there. But in terms of the actual product, in terms of the actual show, do you guys see a difference or even a tonal shift? Because I'm very curious about that. Even to you guys, do you guys feel like there's a shift going on between that it's already happened, or does it feel like we're in a Hasbro era, or does it still feel more of the same?
Honestly, for me, it feels like it's more of the same, and it's unfortunate. And the reason I think we're still in that kind of bubble of, hey, this is what Saban did, and we're doing the same, it's more because they're on Nickelodeon. And Nickelodeon does this thing where they're not really promoting third-party stuff. If they don't have their hands in it and they're not putting money into it, they kind of seem like they don't care. We get more marketing on Nickelodeon for any and everything that is Nickelodeon besides getting anything concerning Power Rangers. So their hands are tied. And it seems like Hasbro could, if they wanted to, go ahead and buy more airtime. I mean, more ad time. It sucks that you, as being someone who's providing something to a distributor, would have to buy airtime or ad time from that distributor to go ahead and promote something that's on their network. But it seems like that's the kind of deal Nickelodeon has. And Hasbro is kind of looking at it just like Saban, which is like, yeah, I'm not going to do that. That's ridiculous. And I think that's where we are. So it's kind of like you're in this bubble that you bought into, and you can't make that change. So that's
Yeah, I
what
mean, personally, television-wise, I don't see any difference, like, at all. Like, I know a lot of people say, "Oh, well, Beast Morphers is doing really," or the show is doing really well. The story's really cool. Yeah, but I don't necessarily know if Hasbro has any hand in that right now. It could just be the same situation we've seen over and over, where sometimes we have a good season, sometimes we have a bad season. It all just comes down to perspective, and I think that we can't judge yet of what Hasbro is doing for Power Rangers because we don't know what it looks like yet. Like Joe, like you said before, the format that they're looking to try to adapt is what they did with the Transformers franchise. And like the Transformers franchise, hardcore fans didn't actually, at the beginning, they did not actually like what Paramount and Hasbro was doing with the Power Ranger movie, the Transformer movies. And I think that it's a fair point. It's a fair chance to say that we're gonna get the same reaction with the new Power Rangers movie. I think that there's going to be a lot of fans that are just like, this is not my Power Rangers. This is not my Power Rangers. Like we go back to Gatekeepers. There's going to be a ton of Gatekeepers. Just not ready to adapt or evolve with the times. And really, you need to evolve. You need to. I know that Ranger fans feel like it's their duty to be true to the fandom and the legacy that Power Rangers has built for them. But also, I mean, Hasbro has to look at the money aspect and making money and bringing in new fans and making a movie franchise or a TV franchise that could appeal to more people. And I think that if the Ranger fans want their franchise to continue and not have like a dire look at the future of Power Rangers, then they need to stop gatekeeping and start accepting change. And I think that's not something that the Ranger fandom, as of right now, is ready for.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say that. That mainly because I feel that like Power Rangers has done this shift that. And it's interesting because I feel like there's a shift in the fan base too. Like I think that like the more that Power Rangers gets a little bit more recognized, these gatekeepers come out a little bit more. But enough about the gatekeepers. Quick question. I know that there's a little bit of, I don't know if there's controversy, but I want to clear this up. 44 episodes being one season or 2 seasons. What's the real difference? I mean, is there even a difference?
Not really. I mean, especially when you think
it's
Beast.
literally just still 44 episodes.
Yeah, it's still 44.
Right?
But
yeah.
I mean, it really depends. It depends. When you say 44 episodes, you think would it be condensed within or like will they be airing it continuously? When you say 22 episodes when you say 2 seasons, you automatically know that they're gonna have the same schedule. That's what I'm looking at it as.
Gotcha. Now, the other question I have, and this is for the both of you guys and everybody in the chat, and I think after this question, maybe Daniel, you can read some of the chat if you'd like. Question I have for both of you is, even if we had the best Power Ranger season of all time, do you think the ratings would change?
No, I don't think so.
So that is definitely a Nickelodeon problem, not necessarily a Hasbro.
Yeah, it's definitely a Nickelodeon problem. I mean, you already see how what they want to emphasize on. I think the only 2 things they want to emphasize on is the what is it, like SpongeBob, however long they've been going with SpongeBob, and Danger Force. There's no they put little to no effort into like trying to promote Power Rangers in any way, and I think that's the problem right there.
I couldn't agree more. Another thing too that I think here's a great comment. And Daniel, after this comment, we have one from M. Just says the Ranger fandom needs to accept change. Period. The current format isn't it anymore. I would tend to agree with that. Daniel, what are some other comments that stood out to you? Maybe we can address some of those.
Well, right now, just in the chat itself,
There's a lot of comments.
really nothing because, that's the thing. There are a lot of comments, but none that really stood out because we really touched on it. Like a lot of people are still talking about the 44 episodes and how Nickelodeon, once again, will not do that. That's a big thing that I'm seeing over and over and over. I'm seeing it from Common Writer 64. But then I have Faisal Salam who says, ratings wouldn't change for even the best season ever. RPM would have been the best ratings, and even that happened. Nickelodeon is way worse than Disney was even in that era, which is true. I mean, when we had the whole thing with Disney going on, it was the same. They're not promoting shows that they're not putting money into. And it just keeps being the same thing. That's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing J Smooth Soul Beats, which is saying Reddit is rigged. So that's interesting.
Well, and let me stop you there for a second, Daniel. I want to talk about that J Smooth Soul Beats Reddit being rigged. Look, the Illuminerdi, at least on the Power Ranger subreddit, we are banned. Me personally, I feel like that's it's fascinating why all that happened. Not saying I don't understand it, because I kind of do, but at the same time, I feel that like I just find it so fascinating. There's other Power Ranger outlets out there, our Power Ranger people that report news, and yet just because they're friends with some of these people that are mods, they get the pass. But granted, we break pretty large Power Ranger news. I don't think that's being egotistical. I think that's just being factual. Like, we do break some pretty big Power Ranger news. Right. And I think that it causes such an uproar because it's not those certain people breaking it. Like I said before, if you want to, anyone that is catching this and didn't watch the beginning, I urge you to watch the first 20 minutes of this episode, because I explain a lot in that 20 minutes. But with that being said, there was a podcast earlier that kind of came out and speculated, and they said it as fact, which I find extremely funny. But they speculated on how we got the information about the Dino Fury cast. And hey, you want to talk about the person that delivered that news and was the source? I was the person that delivered that news, and I'm telling you how I got that story. And it's not anything like how it was explained on that podcast. Just to let that.
I would love to see you on that podcast. I wish they would reach out and have you.
That would be interesting. I think that would be really cool.
That would be really cool.
I would love to do it too, but I don't think that I don't think that would happen. I mean, but anyway, it's not. We have one from Joe.
Can I address one? Let me address one.
Yeah,
all right, so
go ahead.
Blackwing says that was the problem for Rise of the TMNT went through. They barely promoted the show on or the new episodes that came on Nicktoons or Nickelodeon. No, that wasn't the reason. Nickelodeon wasn't the issue there. Rise of the TMNT was a garbage show.
Well, okay, wait. There's one from Shadow Nova. And Shadow Nova says that, well, with 44 episodes, it would be great for one season because that means less hiatus and we won't have to worry about international spoilers. Now, that's pretty interesting because international spoilers is what's plaguing this season. We just had a new episode today, and we're not talking about it because everyone's already seen it.
And we already talked about it.
And well, yeah, exactly, right? But it's like, come on. So that's the thing. It's like, yeah, that is a big problem. The international spoilers and the hiatus, where it's like, okay, hey, I don't even know when the show is on because they'll go into a hiatus mid-season and then come back. So it's like, it feels like it's a break in a whole new season. So I agree with Supernova on that one. Definitely.
Well, there's another big problem, which you even kind of touched on, Daniel. And I think that bigger problem is that if you think about that, a lot of these, I don't want to say all these fans, but there are some certain fans that are in Ranger Nation that believe that no matter what Hasbro does, it's for the greater good. It's for everything that, it's for the greater good, and they're moving in a new direction. And granted, they are moving in a new direction. But with that being said, I feel that, like, if you're going to take reins of a brand and say like, you know what, we have everything under control, the first problem you need to fix is international airings and American airings. Because I will say this, over the summer of 2020, granted, a lot of us were on lockdown. A lot of us, had nothing to do. A lot of us also were out there searching for this Power Ranger episode, this Grid Connection episode where it was going to bring back all these people and all these Dino teams, and it was touted as like this big episode. And granted, during that week in the UK, even here in the United States, all of us were all excited about it, but it just kind of deflated when you knew that there was going to be two different airings. You imagine that excitement, and that wasn't even promoted here in the United States. That was in the UK. If they were able to just figure that side of it out, that'd be a lot better. But there are some great comments in here that I actually want to get to. And Joe Bozine, he says it's not just Nick that's the problem. It's also the writing. They don't change anything. They didn't do anything new. It's the same old MMPR format. And that's exactly what I was saying in terms of what I want to see an hour-long Power Ranger show. No. And especially if it's a version of the kids show. I absolutely wouldn't want to see that because it is the same formula. And I don't want to see that extended out any much more than I need to. Let's see. J Smooth Soul Beats, he says, Ranger Board is the most toxic place other than Twitter. Just a bunch of commies. Commies? Did I say that right?
Commies.
Oh, commies.
There you go.
I personally think that like a lot of a lot of the Ranger community, whatever platform they use, it does get toxic at times. Like I don't know what it is. I have no idea what it is.
Well, a lot of people are saying that right now in the chat concerning like Ranger Board. I'm like, wow, okay, but they're like, yeah, Ranger Board is toxic itself. It's almost as toxic as Twitter. That's what they're saying right in Reddit, the chat. Yeah. And I'm like, wow, I didn't know. I didn't even know that. I didn't like. I've heard people say some things, but to just see it right there in front of me is like, oh, okay. I guess I kind of get it. If fans are saying it, it's kind of like, well, yeah, maybe it's true.
I think that with Power Rangers, and I agree with and honestly with Joe in this chat, Joe Bozine, he says that he's actually come up with ideas to make Power Rangers better on Ranger Board, and they just ignore it. And that's exactly. And look, we're not throwing shots here at Ranger Board because I'll be honest with you, I don't know anybody at Ranger Board, and I've never been on Ranger Board, so I can't necessarily throw shots there. I can't throw shots at anybody that I haven't met or anybody of the people there. To me, those people, I'm sure they're fine people that love the franchise. But look, the franchise needs to evolve. And truth be told, us here at the Illuminerdi, we need to evolve with it. And what that means is you're going to start seeing different Power Ranger content that you're not necessarily used to, but it's going to be for the greater good. And like I said before, this show that you're seeing, the Ranger Wrap-Up, this is a news commentary show. If you want Power Ranger news, check out our website, theilluminerdi.com. And this isn't going to be our only Power Ranger show anymore. Obviously, we have the Retro Ranger Wrap-Up.
It's on right after this.
Which on right after this. Josh L. Corey, they do a great job of reliving that nostalgia. So many people are fans of that nostalgia. Well, you can relive it. They're currently on Power Rangers Lost Galaxy right now. Yeah. We're also cooking up a Common Rider show with Heirloom here in the chat. Nice. Maybe a few other people you may know. So there's a lot of new things that we're exploring with Power Rangers as well.
Joe has his watch throughs with the Power Rangers. That's always fun.
I have it. Yeah. Yes, I do. Christopher Kamen Lee's on next. Also, and I know we keep talking about Cosmic Protectors. I had to rework the whole thing for a whole nother issue. But even before we get to Cosmic Protectors, I'll say this. There's another Power Ranger project that I decided I wanted to work on first. And if that does well, then you're going to see everything kind of fall into place. But this is going to be some cool stuff we have going on. And I'm excited to be a Ranger fan. But like I said before, when you come in and you watch this show, I want you guys to know what you're signing up for. You're going to get 3 opinionated people. And any other person we bring on, they're also opinionated people, and they have their own opinions. In terms of the news, we're not trying to fool you. We're not trying to make things up. We're not trying to throw you into a frenzy. What we're trying to do is get you guys excited about some of this stuff, or call out some of the stuff you guys might not like.
I mean, with the news, we specifically say whether it's actually, it's news from a source, if it's a speculation, or if it's a rumor. I mean, we haven't done too many rumors or anything like that, but we tell you. I think what happens a lot is people just read the title of the article, and that happens with a lot of things. I think that people really need to I know we're in quarantine, and we don't got a lot too. But one thing we do have a lot of is time now. So use that time and read the articles and read what it is. Not just don't get your information just from either memes or just titles of articles, because the titles of articles for anybody need to be catchy or need to be catch your eye. It's the actual article inside that you need to read to get the full information on.
And also, if you guys are looking to join the Illuminerdi, we're looking for people to be writers. We're looking for people that want to learn social media. We have great social media experts. This is a skill set you can learn into any job that you want to apply for, because we do have somebody that does social media at a very high level here at the Illuminerdi. That we're looking for people to work on that with, but also we're looking for producers for some of these shows. We're looking for look, if you just want to join us, we could figure out where you best fit in. But yeah, I think we've run a little bit. We overran our time just by a few minutes, but I think we should wrap it up.
Yeah, I think we should wrap it up. Thank you guys so much for watching. We really appreciate it. We'll be back not next week, but the week after. We have the Retro Ranger wrap up with Corey and Elle and Josh coming up next. Daniel, where can we find you on social media?
You can find me as Battlestar Galactica. I'm more active on Instagram than almost anywhere else, but I am trying to become far more active on Twitter. Check me out there as Enlightened BSG. What about you, Joe?
I can tell you where you won't find me. You won't find me on Reddit anytime soon, but you can find me at Joe Illuminerdi across all social media. Instagram, I'm very active on Twitter. If you like what we do, let me know. Just tweet at me, and I'll have you join us and figure out what the best fit for you is. Because we do want to make this a shared community, not just for Power Rangers, but for everything. If you have other interests, whether they be Marvel, DC, Harry Potter, pro wrestling, video games, anime, we're all here. Hey, geek music, it's something else I want to do. So action figures. So we are all here about it. So we will see you in a couple weeks. Jezer, where can everyone find you?
You can find me on all social media at Jezer Zeus. And I know a lot of you fans want to know more about us. I think going in after all these restrictions happen, going into the next year, I'm gonna start doing a little bit more vlogs and including a lot of the Illuminerdi cast. So if you guys want to get to know them more, I actually have something coming up next weekend, and I'll be releasing a vlog so you can get to know another person part of the Illuminerdi. So just everything at Jezer Zeus. You'll see next week.
I know, right?
You'll see next week. Gonna do a little fun.
Give us a hint. Give us a hint.
It's someone you guys know already. You guys know them.
Oh,
that's a good
all right. So you guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for joining us on your Saturday. Be sure to tune in. I'm telling you, all the 34 of you need to tune in to the Retro Ranger wrap up, because they're talking about one of my favorite seasons, Lost Galaxy. So you guys, thank you so much for watching, for joining. Be sure to like and subscribe, because here at the Illuminerdi, we are always watching.
We shall see you guys soon.